Welcome back, everyone. When we said that the event will be packed with meaningful community insights, we truly meant it. And as we all know, evolution is the only constant, and we've all witnessed tech evolution and customer preferences changes as brands switch from offline to online. And the internet today has become a digital avenue for a plethora of activities for organizations as well as users. This surge in the usage of the internet has resulted in the rise of Web 3.0. Not too familiar with the term? Well, let's deep dive into Web 3.0 and learn why it's the next big thing in the world of communities. Here's welcoming Todd Nielsen to share his take on the metaverse molecules and online communities and how brands can capitalize on them. Todd is an experienced digital strategist with over 25 years of consulting experience, specializing in community building, digital workplace transformations, and marketing strategy. He has a background in competitive intelligence research, gamification, recruitment, employer branding, and virtual collaboration. The stage is yours, Todd.
Thank you so much, Gunsha. So nice to be back at another Refocus event. Really appreciate the invitation. I'm going to share some personal observations about the development of the Web3 world that will catalyze the future of online community experiences. My hope is to help you understand the implications of how the metaverse molecules that I'll collectively refer to as Web3, which includes things like blockchain, artificial intelligence, machine learning, virtual and augmented reality, decentralized finance, NFTs, DAOs, and a whole bunch more terms that will most certainly affect your career as a community professional going forward. This is not a talk about the basics of these technologies. There are plenty of articles and videos about Web3 tech that I will not be I won't be pausing to define them with any great care today. Rather, I assume you know the terminology well enough. This talk is also forward-looking and aspirational when it comes to the actualization of technologies I'll be talking about. I'm not concerned here with the specific tool or platform recommendations, so your mileage may vary. What I would like you to get out of today's remarks is threefold. First, to help you anticipate the immediate changes ahead, some of which are already being incorporated into the Web2 platforms we manage, so that you can manage your career effectively. Secondly, to ensure that your companies and organizations can stay competitive. Third, to challenge you to think about how the technologies comprising Web3 can be used to give your community members more optimal experiences. In short, I'd like to inspire you about the future of online communities and, more specifically, the future of the communities that you manage right now. Let's get started. Why molecules? Well, what is a molecule and why the heck am I bringing them into a conversation about community building? A molecule is a group of atoms bonded together representing the smallest fundamental unit of a chemical compound that can take part in a chemical reaction. In the context of Web3s and online communities, the chemical reaction is comparable to a transformation of user experience and its subsets of community experience, customer experience, employee experience, professional experience, and so on. So how does this analogy apply to a group of atoms bonded together? Well, by that, I'm going to assume we're talking about Web3 tech, individual technologies themselves. So let's take a look at what I'm talking about here. When combined with online communities, these loosely connected technology innovations like the blockchain, augmented reality, artificial intelligence, all of these things taken together can catalyze entirely new experiences. They've been reacting to each other for some time, on which I'll have more to say in a moment, but they're also being further catalyzed by certain volatile, uncertain, complex, and ambiguous developments in the world. Since the early 2000s, online community experiences have emerged in business, government, and NGOs from their humble origins amongst technologists, hobbyists, and nerds. And I say nerds with the greatest personal affinity. I've been one for my entire life. The power of these communities has, for some brands of a progressive mindset, been transformative, changing the way that they think about the business. They have, in current buzz speak, become community-led. I tend to think a little more conservatively about these businesses and might suggest we call them instead community actualized, but that's another talk entirely. In short, the geeks have inherited the earth, and the new craft was born of being a community professional. Now, put alongside this fascinating and, let's face it, fortunate evolution, fortunate because it's empowered all of us who've converged and reconverged for this and similar events, the rise of several disruptive technology trends, some of which are topics in the molecule model that I've put forward here. The thing is that all of these innovative technologies have been expected guests at the party for a decade or more. They have been foreseen, if not dreaded, as disruptions that could bring joy or despair, depending on how you look at them. Then came the pandemic. It affected both our little bubble of online community and all of these molecules of high potential energy. When social media hit the world in the early 2000s, it was a monolithic wonder, despite all of the no doubt many technological hurdles that had to be crossed in order to create it. With these new technologies of Web3, these molecules, if you will, it was like they emerged half-formed as potentials that must be realized. Not like social media was, not like Facebook, which was a product that we could see and understand, even if many did not or chose not to back in those days. AI, the blockchain, virtual reality, slouched into our awareness through the work of breathless journalists and technorati, imaginative fiction, and grim doomsayers. You'd hear about an implementation here or there, a new product, a company that did X, or how a researcher had a breakthrough. But it was William Gibson's adage that applied and continues to apply. The future is already here. It's just not evenly distributed. But there didn't ever seem to be that big breakthrough that would be adopted by everyone. It remained a tech bros preserve, a storefront window we could fog the glass on but not enter. It was too complex, too abstract, too full of jargon, and too perilous. It looked sketchy. The pandemic, though, acted like a Bunsen burner, taking a chemical reaction that was already happening, albeit slowly, and accelerated the process. Companies that were already using online communities doubled down. Companies that weren't, companies that were not, decided that they had better start experimenting, since live in-person experiences were taking a back seat for a while at least. And Web3's darling star of 2020 and 2021, the NFT became the unexpected champion of online communities. An entirely new group of tech startups and investors suddenly saw the value of having a Telegram or WhatsApp or Discord clubhouse to share their enthusiasm for funny little crypto kitties, pudgy penguins, and bored apes. New community products burst on the scene to compete with the likes of Discord. Crypto community managers were in demand, and suddenly all of us who were in the community professional space and had an interest in new technologies suddenly found our expertise in demand from a whole segment of people who didn't even seem to know that we existed before. Anyhow, that's how we got here as I see it. The view from the hill I happen to be on might be skewed, and there might be a few trees in the way, preventing me from seeing things as they are. I hope you'll forgive me for that. I only have my perspective to lean upon. Now, with an eye to the future, ignore for a moment the hype of Web3, the softening of the cryptocurrency markets, ignore the scam artists that have damaged the credibility of the space, ignore the confusion that many have when people start talking about NFTs, virtual wallets, DeFi, and a host of other terms that have served as barriers to entry. I'd like you to instead think about how this intersection of technologies, this molecular interaction of Web3 technologies and communities, accelerated by the pandemic and other forces, are reacting and shaping a relevant and exciting future for those of us in the community space. Let's not focus, but refocus, see what I did there, Graziti, on what these developments mean. I'd like to leave you with 4 things to consider. Number 1, NFTs will spearhead powerful new community experiences. The NFT has several interesting applications that will support better engagement and more amazing customer experiences in our online communities. NFTs are something I spoke about tactically at last year's Refocus event as an extension or evolution of gamification. Here are a few additional considerations for you. NFTs represent an opportunity to move beyond just one community. We increasingly affiliate, all of us across the world, with multiple communities online. NFTs will allow us to show the full context of our identities, if we so choose. Think achievement badges, but they're badges you carry with you to other places to gain instant social equity. No effort or participation is wasted, as these tokenized achievements will stay with you under your ownership in your virtual wallet. Also, smart contracts are a part of every NFT. These built-in agreements mean more direct opportunities to support communities financially. The ROI of online communities may change dramatically as a result of NFTs being involved, being traded, being sold for money, that have contracts that build in a commission that goes back to the communities from which they originated. Third, decentralized identity management, virtual wallets, means that my identity is managed by my NFTs that stay in my wallet. They act as a kind of membership entry card, a powerful way to incentivize people to engage and to take pro-social community actions. As an aside, I think that making wallets easier to understand, NFTs easier to understand and use, that's the big hurdle that Web3 faces. The reasonably technical person can use them, but it's far from an easy experience. Imagine if Facebook required you to know how to code CSS to get into the site and use it. It's about that easy, in my opinion. You could do it, but why would you want to? These quibbles aside, NFTs are going to make it easier to incentivize participation in more ways. So let's discuss what this means in the macro view. Number 2, Web 3.0 denotes a new era for community building. Folks, from here on out, it's going to get a lot weirder. Not just my presentation, that was already weird, but it's what you should expect of a community building experience as it is continually disrupted by new technologies going forward. Since the 1970s, communities have been built online first and foremost with text. Images and video have since followed, but we're poised to emerge into a new era of community building where VR and AR realms are going to further close the gap between real life and the virtual. Technology is gradually going to become less visible, and interaction, though different from face-to-face, is going to become a lot easier. There'll be less friction involved. We're entering an era where community incentives are going to become portable and intra-communal. I alluded to this a little bit earlier while talking about NFTs, but the implications of carrying around our achievements with us from community to community are profound. Suddenly, we and not corporations will own all of our accomplishments. And as virtual wallets get better, and I have every expectation they will, you'll be able to display all of your interests and achievements, or just the ones that are most contextually appropriate within any new community you join. Take, for example, that you've joined a Harley-Davidson community with a bunch of NFTs that you picked up from live road rally events or other communities related to the lifestyle. Coming into this brand new community as a new person, you have immediate credibility in space. And notice how the live events and virtual are both tokenized in this example. The future of online communities, I believe, is just plain communities. And our future as professionals in this space is not as online community professionals, but as community builders. Which brings us to the third point, which is how the role of the community manager will change in this crypto universe. The prognosis as a community professional is good. The prognosis for your mental health as a community builder is even better than today, I think. What will it mean to be a community pro when it's no longer forums and feeds first? What will you need to do to be career ready in the face of disruptive tech that combines artificial intelligence, decentralization, and virtual reality? It's going to require you to exert a span of control over a greater variety of communications methods. But you'll have AI assistants, cobots, if you want to think of them that way, to help you get your arms around the most mundane, rote tasks, and probably even a few of the more complex ones that would be extremely taxing for you to manage on your own. So how can you be ready for this world? Well, I have a suggestion, and it's mostly about mindset. Be curious, read, experiment, and play. The more you do now to embrace new technologies, the readier you will be. Reinvent yourself relentlessly. What you play with today may put money in your pocket tomorrow. I've learned this from experience over the years. It may mean landing your next amazing job. Rather than carping about Web3 as a big scam, its volatility, its unreliability, how about instead embracing the chaos, getting uncomfortable and learning something new? Cynicism, distrust, and divisiveness and dismissiveness, these are the enemies of your career. Don't get stuck as a horse and buggy specialist when what we need are freaking astronauts who are going to ride rocket ships into the unknown. Let me leave you in this fourth point with imagining the impact of a catalyzed community universe. I'd like to leave you with a brief design fiction to spur your imagination about the future of online communities. I am not a professional futurist, nor have I been trained by one, but I am interested in the ways that we can imagine ourselves into the future. The year is 2032, and it's time to log into your job as a community professional. You put on your AR glasses and activate your AI assistant's natural language interface. The AI, let's call her Nomad because that sounds cool, explains that she has eliminated 97% of your flagged text messages and 82% of the flagged video and audio communications in the community. Would you like to review the edge cases now, she asks, but you decline and opt to do so later. Next, she explains that you have 18 new members who've signed up since you logged out yesterday. I have welcomed them already and introduced them to other members who have similar interests based on their NFT achievements and past community affiliations. Great job, Nomad. I'll definitely be sure to check in with them all. After reviewing a few other metrics, you make your way into the greeting room, a fully immersive VR experience where a few regular community members have queued up to ask you questions. You nod to the first person and usher them into a virtual private office, while your AI assistant, Nomad, just tries to answer some of the more basic questions posed by new members. You won't have to repeat yourself. Later that afternoon, you're a host to a mixed AR event held at your company's office, but attended by virtual avatars visible when in-person members put on their special AR glasses. All attendees receive a proof of attendance NFT, a POAP, those exist right now, of course, that can go towards any one of a number of virtual or physical swag items. It's a bit of fun. I hope you forgive me the indulgence. But in all, I'd like you to believe that your life as a community professional is going to be richer and more blended of real life and virtual reality than it is today. But the business of connecting people with purpose is something that will not change. It is the core of what we are in the profession and why we're here. It's what we do best. I hope that if you take anything away from this short imaginative jaunt, that it leaves you hungry, dissatisfied with things as they are, and hopeful about a future which isn't as far away as you might think. The catalyzing elements for these changes I'm challenging you to imagine are not far away. In fact, everything I mentioned is here already. The molecules are all present, just not evenly distributed, not fully catalyzed. They are interacting with online communities, and they have been agitated by the pandemic. What new social, political, and technological changes may come to further spur the creation of this strange new world? And will you be ready to capitalize on those changes when they happen? I'd like to hear from you about your Web3 reactions, questions, and experiences. You can reach me via LinkedIn, my preferred social platform, or via Twitter at Todd Nilsson. And I'm so appreciative that you've given me some time to talk to you about this that's been on my mind for some time. I'll be happy to try to answer any questions. I'm sorry, I've got to switch my sound here because you guys cut out on me there for a second. Okay. All right, so it looks like there's a couple of questions came through. So thank you so much. Yeah, so can you cite an example where you've adopted NFTs to gamify your community? Yeah, so there is an organization that I'm working with that is doing regular webinar events, and as a part of attending those webinars, people are being issued POAPs for their participation in them. What do you think about the future of community managers given the advent of Web3? Well, I hope I've given a bit of a preview of that in the conversation here. But if you want to talk more about it, Oliver, I'd be happy to connect with you directly about that. Let's see. Sean asks, how will the application of Web3 in communities impact business goals? I think that's going to be a big question for organizations. Right now, I think there's a bit of a backlash against Web3 implementations, especially if you start talking about putting NFTs into a community. I think like the early days of social media, when social media was reacted to badly by organizations, I think now we need to be a little careful about how we back into those things, and the nomenclature and terms we use are going to be really important. But tying any of the Web3 technologies to business outcomes, I don't think that's any different than what we do today in the Web2 world. We're trying to find ways to connect all of these things. So, Gunsha, I've probably gone a little bit long. I hope I didn't go over too much for anybody else.
No. That was an amazing conclusion, Todd. That was an amazing session. And I believe that the metaverse molecules like NFT, crypto, and more, when combined with online communities, are sure to deliver several benefits to brands. So, thank you, Todd, for the amazing insights today. You were truly awesome. And next up is a panel discussion on decoding the tomorrow of communities with future predictions. So, stay tuned.